Welcome to our series on quantum computing. Today, we are demystifying the core language of quantum algorithms, the quantum circuit. Whether you are a student or just curious about the future of technology, understanding these diagrams is the first step to understanding how quantum computers actually solve problems. So, what exactly is a quantum circuit? Think of it like a musical score for a computer. Just as a musician reads sheet music from left to right to know what notes to play, and when a quantum computer reads a circuit diagram from left to right to know what operations to perform. The horizontal lines represent the quantum bits, or qubits, and the symbols placed on them are the instructions. Let's look at the most basic element, the wire. In a quantum circuit diagram, each horizontal line represents the timeline of a single qubit. The far left of the line is the start of the calculation, and as we move to the right, time progresses. If you see a wire with nothing on it, it means that qubit is just waiting, preserving its information as time passes. To do anything useful, we need to change the state of the qubits using gates. Here are a few common ones. The X gate is like a classical switch. It flips a 0 to a 1. The Z gate changes the phase, which is a unique quantum property. And then there is the H, or Hadamard gate, which we will look at more closely because it is special. The Hadamard gate is arguably the most important single-qubit gate. It takes a qubit that is definitely a 0 or definitely a 1 and puts it into a state of superposition. This means that if you were to measure it, it would have a 50-50 chance of being either value. This ability to explore multiple possibilities at once is part of what makes quantum computers so powerful. Single qubits are interesting, but the real magic happens when they interact. This symbol represents the controlled NOT, or CNOT gate. It connects two wires. The top wire is the control, and the bottom is the target. If the control qubit is a 1, it flips the target qubit. If the control is 0, it does nothing. This conditional interaction is how we create quantum entanglement. Most quantum algorithms follow a standard 3-step recipe. First, initialization. We prepare all our qubits in a known starting state, usually all zeros. Second, operations. We apply a sequence of gates to create superposition and entanglement, encoding our problem into the system. And finally, measurement. We look at the result. Measurement is the end of the line for a quantum calculation. When we measure a qubit, we force it to choose a side. All the complex quantum probabilities collapse into a simple, classical outcome, either a 0 or a 1. This is the only information we can actually extract from the computer to read our answer. Let's put it all together with a famous example, creating a Bell state. We start with 2 qubits. We apply a Hadamard gate to the first one to create superposition. Then, we use a CNOT gate to connect them. The result is 2 qubits that are entangled. They are now linked so strongly that measuring one immediately determines the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are. As we build more complex algorithms, we talk about width and depth. Width is just the number of qubits we need. Depth is the number of steps in the timeline. Shallow circuits are easier to build because quantum states are fragile. If a circuit is too deep, the qubits might lose their information before the calculation is finished. To wrap up, remember that quantum circuits are just timelines of operations. We use wires for time, gates like Hadamard and CNOT to manipulate information, and measurement to get our final answer. Mastering these diagrams allows you to read and write the code of the future. Thanks for watching.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.